G'day guys, Justin here, coming at you with another NBA Player of the Week video. This time the week March 19th to March 25th, 2018. It was a 4-horse race this week. I had James Harden of the Houston Rockets, I had LeBron James of the Cleveland Cavaliers, and I also had LaMarcus Aldridge of the San Antonio Spurs. However, my final decision was made and I went with Anthony Davis for my NBA Player of the Week for March 19th to March 25th, 2018. Checking out his game-by-game performances by the numbers. Versus Dallas, 37 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists. Would have liked to have seen the rebound numbers a little higher there, but still contributing there nonetheless in the scoring department. Had someone criticise his passing game actually over the past week, but when you look at the fact that Davis does play with a Holiday and a Rondo, if he's getting high assist numbers, they're certainly not doing their job, and he's obviously taking away from their game. 2 blocks, certainly good to see. However, steals numbers low in this particular game. Only the 1 turnover, uber efficient with the basketball. And as you can see, uber efficient when shooting the basketball. 71.4% from the field. As I said, like to see my bigs shoot at 50% minimum from the field. 66.7 from deep. As I said, if you take them, you've got to make them, and 2 of every 3 is a very good ratio for anyone in the game. 71.4% from the free throw line, a little to be desired. As mentioned, I'd like to see guys shooting, 80%. For guards in the league. I mean, 71.4 is good for Davis, but he is capable of shooting much higher, and he did show that later on in other games. Overall, good showing for him. Versus Indiana, he had 28 points, 13 rebounds, again, cutting his scoring back a little. However, the boards production growing, passing numbers down, but again, as I mentioned, he's playing with Rondo and Holiday. And defensive numbers overall growing, 1 steal and 5 blocks, a tremendously good shot blocking game for him. He is coming off the back of a 10 block game over the past week and a bit, so he has been in rim protection form. 3 turnovers, again, could be questioned there. However, you have to look at the fact that shooting the ball, he went 64.3% from the field and made every shot he took from 3 and every shot he took from the foul line. So great overall game there. Good on offense, good on the glass, good defensively, was efficient with the basketball when you look at it, whether it be possession or shooting. Versus the Lakers, again, another 30-point game, 33 points, 9 rebounds, just shy of that 10 rebound mark, but nothing too bad there. And 1 assist, again, defensive numbers back on the agenda, good defensive effort there. 3 steals and 2 blocks, great overall showing versus the Lakers. Shot 60% from the field, again, above 50, 60, certainly very, very exciting to see. However, not making one from deep, particularly if he's going to take those shots, something he needs to look at. However, 90% shooting from the free throw line, exceptional no matter who you are. And versus Houston, a quiet game by his standards, however, an overall good game despite the loss. 25 points, 8 rebounds, and 1 assist there. Again, would have liked to have seen the rebound numbers a little higher. Crashed the glass there against Clint Capella. However, 2 steals, 4 blocks. He did put in that defensive effort needed. 1 turnover, shot 45.5 from the field. Again, Capella did have a big defensive game himself. Might be the only person to have actually caused any problems for Davis. I mean, if you're going to be looking at it, I'd certainly be putting Clint Capella in the Defensive Player of the Year argument well before a Draymond Green. I mean, you've only got to look at the numbers Davis put on a Draymond this year. 50% from deep, certainly nothing to complain about. Made at least half of them. Can't complain there. And 66.7 from the charity stripe. Would like to see that jump up to 70, but not too bad. I mean, that was his worst game of the week and they lost the game, so it does speak about how valuable he is to that side. Checking out his stat line for the week, Davis averaged 30.8 points per game, 9.5 rebounds per game, so just shy of that 10 rebound per game mark that I really would have liked to have seen. 1.3 assists, as I mentioned, he's not the priority pass from that side, and as he shouldn't be with the point guards around him. However, his defensive numbers and his approach overall on the court is what really won it for me. 1.5 steals per game and 3.3 blocks per game with only 1.3 turnovers. Uber efficient with the ball and playing well on both sides of the ball. Again, I had someone question me to Anthony Davis the other day, And their whole argument was, well, he doesn't have high assist numbers like LeBron James, but he scores better than LeBron, he's a better rebounder than LeBron, he's a better defender than LeBron, and he's a more efficient basketball player than LeBron James. As I've mentioned in previous videos, Anthony Davis is the best all-around player in the game right now. I don't think there's a debate. LaMarcus Aldridge has certainly been making a case for it, and he's done very well with San Antonio. And Giannis Antetokounmpo on both ends of the floor, he's been playing great as well. But Anthony Davis, for me, is the best all-around player and arguably the best basketballer on the planet right now. 59.7 from the field, tad under 60%, can't complain there. 50% from deep, can't complain there, and 84.4% from the stripe, certainly can't complain there. I mean, 85% is where you'd like to see your really good guards in the league shooting, the elite of the elite perimeter players. I mean, he's pretty much pushing that limit right there as a big. And as I mentioned, overall efficiency with possession of the ball and shooting the ball is something that a lot of players, both on the perimeter and under the rim, really should be looking at, to improve their game and move into that argument as the best player in the game. Taking a look at his notable opposition on the week, versus Dallas, he went up against Dwight Powell, versus Indiana, Thaddeus Young, versus the Lakers, Julius Randle, and as I mentioned earlier, versus Houston, Clint Capella. So Powell in their game versus Dallas had 11.6 rebounds, 3 assists, and shot pretty well, shot phenomenally actually, 83.3 from the field and 100% from deep. Not bad for a team that's tanking, allegedly, I should say. Dallas is allegedly tanking. However, there are many on that team that don't like that idea, particularly the great Dirk Nowitzki. Versus Indiana, so again, this is what Thaddeus Young had, so Power with the 11, 6 and 3 on 83.3 and 100% from deep for Dallas. Thaddeus Young for Indiana, 9 points, 10 rebounds. Certainly not the main big there, certainly not the priority on offense there. Doing his bit, crashing the glass, putting a couple of points on the board. 2 assists, 3 steals, so not a bad game there for Thaddeus Young. However, when you look at the shooting at 25%, for every 4 you put up, you miss 3. Certainly not what you want. And when you stretch that out over a fair period, not great at all. Didn't make a 3-point attempt, and as I've mentioned, if you're going to take them, you have to make them. 75% shooting from the free throw line is more than acceptable. Julius Randle for the Lakers had 23 points, 10 rebounds, 2 assists, and 1 block. Randle's really improved his game this year. He went from, major trade talks at the start of the season, clearing cap space and on the deadline, pretty much trying to make a move heading in to the end of the season for the Lakers, to being a guy who they really probably don't want to look at getting rid of at this point. So again, 23 points, 10 rebounds, 2 assists, and a block for Randle on only 2 turnovers. So great efficiency there for the young fella. 56.2% from the field. Didn't attempt a 3-point shot, something I actually like to see in the bigs. They're able to bang down low and have a crack at the glass. And 62.5 from the free throw line, a little to be desired. Versus Houston, again, up against Clint Capella, to me, one of the Defensive Player of the Year candidates now. He's certainly in there for me, ahead of Kevin Durant, the way Durant has been playing and has sagged off pretty much since the first 40 games of the season. He's really died off there on both ends of the floor. Still there offensively, but certainly not defensively. Capella had 18 points, 16 rebounds and 1 assist, along, as I mentioned, with 3 steals and 6 blocks. Had a massive game against New Orleans. One of the key reasons, again, that Houston won that game. Some ridiculous stat that when Paul Harden and Capella are all on the side, I think there's something like, at one point they were 39 and 2 as a lineup, so that's tremendous. Again, good all-around contributions, and one of the most underrated assets to Houston's aspirations to taking the first seed in the West and certainly having a crack at a championship this year. So hopefully for me, someone like a Capella can keep working his ass off and hopefully get a bit of credit for the work he's doing. Only the 1 turnover and shooting 75% from the field on 18 points. Can't complain there. Didn't take a 3. Doesn't need to on that team. My God, all they do is shoot 3s. However, not making a free throw when attempting them would have been nice to have seen. Particularly if the guy could have had a 20 and 16 game. You're looking at a hell of a lot more respect around the league purely because of that 2-0 in the point column, not the 1-8. It's amazing what that will do for perception around the league. Davis in the 4th quarter had a very, very good showing other than the game against Houston, but we will get to that. Another thing you need to look at when you're checking Davis's numbers. So versus Dallas, he had 8 points, 3 rebounds, and 2 assists in the fourth quarter on only 1 turnover. Shot 75 from the field and 100 from both deep and the charity stripe. Versus Indiana, he had 13 points, 2 rebounds, and 1 block on only 1 turnover. Again, 66.7 from the field, didn't attempt a 3, and 100% from the stripe. And versus the Lakers, 10 points, 4 rebounds, 1 assist, and 3 steals on 57.1 from the field. Again, no three-pointer taken and 100% shooting from the stripe. Versus Houston, he had no numbers recorded. However, he left the game 4 seconds after playing only 4 seconds of the fourth. So certainly, nothing to scoff at there. His overall contribution in the fourth quarter was key. And again, as you can see, they won those games. So a major contributor there for New Orleans in the fourth quarter of each game. Finally, we'll look at the players of the week again so far. So nothing has changed, but Davis has garnered his third Player of the Week award, similarly to a LeBron James, who also has 3. But as I mentioned, it's a 2-horse race for the MVP at the moment. Looks like Harden's going to get it with the way they're leading the West. However, as I mentioned, the best all-around basketballer in the world right now, arguably the best player on the planet right now, is Anthony Davis. And it's almost daylight second with his ability on the glass, his ability to score, his ability to play defense on ball and off ball, and his ability to be efficient both in possession and shooting is phenomenal to see. He's definitely going to be an MVP in certainly the next 3 years for me. And if they start winning playoff games and playoff series and making deep runs, look at this guy to start climbing up the ranks as far as players of his generation and potentially all time. Davis has the potential to be a top 50 player all time, there's no doubt about it. He's just going to have to work at it and keep going and start winning playoff games and delivering when it matters. As we go through, I did mention James Harden, I have mentioned Anthony Davis, and I have mentioned LeBron James, but my other players of the week so far have included Damian Lillard of the Portland Trail Blazers, Jimmy Butler of the Minnesota Timberwolves, Chris Paul, another Rocket there, helping out James Harden. Another thing that does hurt Harden's MVP candidacy is the help he has around him compared to a Davis. So again, Chris Paul from the Houston Rockets, Steph Curry, who's now out for the remainder of the season, will not have a chance possibly of being in the top 5 of my MVP race anymore. I just feel the injuries and the time he spent out is going to be too costly. However, he has proven to be just as valuable, if not more valuable, than Durant on that side. So Steph Curry for the Golden State Warriors, Andre Drummond of the Detroit Pistons, certainly a candidate for the Defensive Player of the Year and has been critical to the way Detroit have played. Certainly got rid of the stigma that he was going to be almost a bust and a waste of time. He's certainly broken that mould. If you go to Kevin Durant, again, he's providing scoring. And I do feel that if he matched up against LeBron James in the NBA Finals, he'd be pouring in another 30 point on 50% attempt or averages, I should say. I mean, the only time Durant's averaged 30 a game on 50% shooting in the playoffs has been twice against LeBron James in 2012 and 17. So he certainly has LeBron's number scoring-wise there. A lot of people say rebounds and assists matter. Yeah, that's very true, but so do wins. As we have a look over at Russell Westbrook, again, about to average a triple-double with a better record for OKC. He's got more of a candidacy for me than LeBron James, both about as effective defensively at the moment. But the thing with Russ is he's going to compete every single night. He's going to might shoot the team out of it, but he's going to try and hit the game winner and bring the team over the line with him. Porzingis has been out for a long time now. Again, he was a former Player of the Week as well. Kyrie Irving has been out now for a little bit. He, at one point, had a case for being top 5 in the MVP argument, but he has revolutionised the way that Boston team is looking with those young players and looks to be a staple of their program going forward. And Giannis, I mean, we all know what he's like. If you could start to deliver a little bit more on the fourth, develop a jump shot a little bit more. I can't say much he's shooting better on the jumpers than LeBron, but I mean, he's only young. He's got a long way to go in his career, and as I mentioned, he's probably second to Davis as the best all-around basketballer on the planet. Quick shout-out to Damian Lillard, trying to carry Portland there. I don't think they can win a championship with him as the first option or him as the leader. They're going to need a lot of help around him, similarly to James Harden. And Jimmy Butler has proven how valuable he was to the Wolves with their form recently as well. And that's been me, guys. Thank you very much for watching the video. Hit that like button and leave a comment. Who was your player of the week? How do you feel everyone else is going? What are your thoughts going into the end of the season? How do you think the playoffs are shaping up? Who do you feel will win each respective award? The players that are being underappreciated and maybe players that are being overappreciated? Leave that in a comment there. Subscribe to the channel. Obviously, I want to see you guys about more viewing this content, sharing this content, and yeah, just giving me general feedback and supporting the channel as you can, supporting the Blitz team as well. Hit me up on Twitter, Justin_G_Bryan. Currently got my Player of the Week poll running there. You'll be able to find that. And again, just there talking hoops, talking life, and just having a chit chat in general. So head on over there and please chuck me a follow for more constant updates. You can find my YouTube channel through my Twitter. You've obviously found it here, which is great. But either way, if you get stuck, just head on over there. And again, you can check out all the Blitz team and all the other content I have as well. So again, thank you very much, guys. Hit that like button, leave some feedback, subscribe to the channel, and again, follow me on Twitter, Justin_G_Bryan. That's been me for my NBA Player of the Week from the 19th of March to the 25th of March 2018, Anthony Davis of the New Orleans Pelicans.